Hello, welcome back to Leicester Fan TV. This is the Fox's Focus Show. We'll be discussing all things Leicester. Simon, what a horrible week it's been for a Leicester City fan.
Um, yeah, it's a bit like pouring acid in your eyes watching that game in the week. Obviously, we beat Stoke at the weekend, but that wasn't. I mean, let's be honest, it wasn't particularly convincing in its nature. He didn't go home from the game thinking, "Blimey, we've really won that handsomely." It was a scruffy win. We got all those 3 points, and I suppose it fills you with some optimism going away down to Southampton. Have not had the best of seasons, and then to see that shambles of a performance just kind of kicked the legs out of anything that came from the two wins that came before it for me.
Well, let's rewind because we've not been on since before the Stoke game. Let's talk about the Stoke game. So the first half, I thought was very convincing. I thought we were very energetic. We chased every ball. Daka looked. If you just watch the first half of football, you believe Daka was a really good striker. He pressed really well. He scored his goal really well. Apart from Ricardo, I thought the whole team played really well in the first half. Second half was a bit cagey. I thought Begovic was really good all game, except for their goal. He couldn't really help. I feel that bottom right corner, he couldn't really save that really. So after the third game, I felt a bit optimistic, but thinking maybe we've turned a corner. Maybe I wasn't expecting great football. I was expecting better football from certain individuals, but against Southampton, it's just I don't know how we can turn from a team where we played one half of really good football to a shambolic performance from the team. The tactics were horrific. The players were horrific. It was just awful.
I read a stat just before we came on that said that we didn't have a shot in the Southampton game from the 12th minute of the game onwards. At all.
At all.
No shot at all.
I mean, I've got to be honest, I turned off after 20 minutes. I just got so bored. There's just no point watching it. After that red card, after their second goal, it was just pointless. It was just...
Yeah, it was a tough. I did watch the whole thing, but I found myself struggling to concentrate on it after about half an hour. It was just so bad. And even with the victories against Norwich and Stoke that came before it, there's a similar pattern for me in these games to last season where we just don't deliver 90 minutes. We deliver 20 minutes. We deliver half an hour. We deliver 45 minutes. We deliver 10 minutes. We don't ever, all right, into the Southampton game, we didn't deliver 1 minute. But that aside, it's a consistent problem with this group of players under three managers now that they cannot string together a 90-minute performance. I mean, the second half against Stoke, it was for me, was poor. I agree with you. The first half, a decent performance, but the second half was a tough watch. It was a poor half of football, and it seems to be the story with these players that they just can't string together a complete game.
Can you remember the last 90 minutes of football Leicester City played a game?
Probably the Spurs game last season away.
No. I would say the first half were poor. We came out second half and just swinged it.
All right. I mean, then no. I can't. If I'm honest, I can't remember walking away from the ground at any point for as long as I can remember thinking, yeah, that was comprehensive. Been a long time. Long time.
We can all sit here as fans, as Luke Clippo says. Marty can't be the answer. Poor tactics. In my own opinion, I can't sit here and fathom that his tactics from pre-season to now have changed that much. His philosophy has changed that much. I just can't understand how a manager that came in saying attacking football and proved it in pre-season and the beginning of the season to now has changed so much. It has to be the board. Someone has to be telling you how to play, how they want them to play football. Because every manager we've had, Marty, Steve Cooper, Ruben Nistelrooy, for ages, it's been the same tactics. There's no difference.
It certainly feels quite Van Nistelrooy-esque in its nature now this season. The performances, the kind of lackluster nature of them. You sit there and you're not really filled with any confidence that we're really going to put anything much together for any sustained length of time. It does all feel very similar. So they are reverting to type, despite Cifuentes certainly in the early parts of pre-season trying to change the style a little bit. I mean, the other thing I would say is that obviously Luke Thomas was suspended. In the week because of that stupid when he tried to waste time by rolling the ball away against Stoke and got booked and bang, suspended. He put a Luco in on which I wasn't on the surface of it when I saw the team against Southampton particularly negative about. I was quite positive about it, but for me, Jono, it was clear from having watched the game that the lads, I don't think he's quite ready to start competing against some of the more lively wide players in that league. He got sent off as we've already said, and I felt a bit sorry for him really that he'd been kind of hung out a little bit. And what would you say in terms of actually with the players that he had available? Also, given the fact that apparently it now transpires that Ricardo can't play midweek and weekend because of his hamstrings or whatever. If that's the case, and he's got obviously centre-back injury problems, was it not the right time against Southampton to change the formation, Jono?
I think the thing is I don't know. I mean, if the tactics, it's just the tactics overall for me are just absolutely baffling. Like someone put here, he hasn't been given the platform to build, and I do agree with that. But against Stoke, you put Ricardo into midfield, play tiki-taka football to build up from midfield. But every single time they did that, he lost the ball and they countered down the left wing. Every single time. And it's just that... And I agree, there's an injury problem. There is one. But tactically otherwise, it's becoming hard to support him. Even with the player problems and the fact that we haven't got great players and we've got an injury problem, I just can't defend him tactically anymore.
See, because I agree with you. That's where I am now. It's the old Einstein keep repeating the same thing is the definition of madness when it doesn't work type of thing. For me, we're repeating the same system, the same style. The outcomes are also fairly similar. They're unconvincing performances. Sometimes it works, doesn't work convincingly, but the majority of the time it's delivered issues. Let's be honest. I don't know why we're just perpetuating it over and over. And is it just that Cifuentes is another one of these managers that's got one style, one philosophy, one idea, and he's just going to play it to death, win, lose or draw, bad performance, good performance, he's just going to keep churning it out. And for me, it starts to feel a bit square pegs in round holes, especially with Jordan James. It keeps playing him lately in the 10 hole where he just doesn't suit, where he's just playing two clones of each other, Skip and Winks, really, in the midfield. And it's my opinion, we don't need both of them in there. One or the other, not both. James alongside him, and allow someone more creative and more naturally gifted in that way to play in the 10 role. Because for me, it's a loss of a player playing James in that 10.
What frustrates me is it's so obvious that James does not suit that 10 role. It is to us fans who we don't have our coaching badges, we don't have any of that sort of degree on us. We all notice that Jordan James looks lost in that 10 position. He looks lost when he's in that 6th position. He looks like he's at home. Why isn't, if it's obvious to us, why isn't he doing it? What's stopping? Yes, we're struggling at defence, but it's not. But we'll agree about Soumare isn't the best player in the world. But Winks and Soumare, and then James up front. I mean, James in this, Winks and James in that position. Maybe put Chowdhury or anyone in that 10 position but James would work because he has that freedom to be creative, fling it to the wingers or fling it to Dako.
I mean, the obvious one for me right now is D. Cordova-Reid, who's scored a couple lately, and actually, his experience and a bit of kind of knowledge in there for me would make far more sense. He seems a little bit for me, Cifuentes obsessed with this Skip Winks thing at the minute, and I don't. I don't personally particularly see what he's producing. We got Stephen with us tonight. It's like Enzo Ball again. Too many passes. John, maybe go with that.
I'll go with that, but I mean, in life, we all like to do something, but if you don't have the facility to do that thing, you don't do it. They're trying to play a certain style of football with the players that don't fit that style of football. They're trying to play Enzo football with players that can't do that style of football. They're so we've got youngsters, we've got like inexperienced players who just can't. Wild Faz cannot pass the ball. Ricardo, we saw from the last game. Ricardo can't pass the ball 10 yards in front of him without losing it.
Well, there's something Jordan's bringing into the evening show. Evening, Jordan. What's been up with Fataru lately?
He's been poor.
I agree.
I love him. He's a great. We've seen he's a great player. His attitude is really good. He's just. Is it because other teams just suss out what he does and they just stop him from doing it?
I think for me, there's got to be a factor in that, because that whole cut in from the right and shoot with his left foot into the far corner has been a kind of trademark of his now ever since he's been with the club. And quite a few of them end up going wide or over, but then when he does hit one, it's an absolute wonder goal. And if you kind of negate that out of him and you push him wide, you push him around the other side of the fullback and make him then put a cross in, he does become a little bit of a different animal. But I have to say, it's my opinion, I think the likes of Fataru and others are having a bit of confidence drained out of them by the way things are playing out on the pitch in recent games. And I think you've got a couple of convincing wins under your belt. I think you'd see players like Fataru all of a sudden find their form again. I think that's part of the problem. Of course, whilst I agree with Jordan that this is very Maresca-like in its kind of build-up tactics, all the rest of it, passing it round, build up to death and all of that. The difference is that Maresca had the likes of Dewsbury Hall and Vardy to pick.
Yeah.
We haven't got that anymore. And we haven't got that quality of player at the club anymore to kind of pull it off. So it's a bit like a kind of Audi version, without being disparaging to Audi, of Maresca for me.
Well, let's look at Scott's comment. So I do appreciate Scott typing this massive essay of a message. So let's just bring it up. So Martes took the blame. Is his tactic style randomly boring to watch? So negative, always passing backwards and sideways. Look at the stats every game so far this season. We have second best. Look, I 100% agree with that. I remember a few episodes ago when we did this, where I should have brought up a stat where we had 64% possession most games and did nothing with it. Most of it was just passing around between Faz, Vestergaard and Ricardo every game. It's boring. Like we've proved literally against Stoke, all you need to do is hoof the ball up every time to Daka. No matter how poor he is, one time he'll just get the ball and score, which is what he did. Why is that difficult?
Well, the system makes it difficult, doesn't it? Because we're just not. Another stat for this season. I think we're 17 games into the season. Just checking my stats. We are. The strikers have contributed 3 goals in 17 games between them. And
Vestergaard scored 2, by the way.
It's shocking. You've got some players on a lot of wages in that team, commanding a lot of salary that have in 17 games produced 3 goals. It's not good enough, and I think everyone would agree with that. The other side of that coin is, as you just alluded to, the supply that they're getting. If you've got a bit of a speed merchant like Daka in your team that is more than capable of taking a foot race against a centre back and winning 8 times out of 10, why on earth is the manager not identifying that and building a set of tactics to start feeding the ball through to him that he can run onto, as we used to do with Vardy? Going back a few seasons, why on earth are we not playing to the strengths? Surely you've got to analyse what you've got and make a decision that actually we need to play like this to produce goals and opportunities. It doesn't make any sense to me.
We did do this. We did play like this in pre-season. That's what's bloody frustrating. We did this in pre-season. I remember against Fiorentina, that Ricardo just pinging the ball to the left winger, Luke Thomas pinging. Where's that? Where's
I
that?
don't.
Where's that gone?
That's the enigma, because we have just slowly, having made that progress, just reverted back to an absolute almost carbon copy of last season. The difference is the opposition's worse, and we're still not getting the results we need. It's a difficult watch.
I'm at I'm at
Yeah,
the point. I'm at the point now. Just don't get relegated. Don't get relegated to League One. And I can't. If you said to me, I said if not part of the Leicester Fan TV chat on WhatsApp, be part of it. It's quite entertaining. But I said in that chat, survive relegation, accept all the points deductions, get it out the way, accept blame, survive relegation, and just get rid of all the shit in this club, from all the Sumare, the Daka, the Fas, all of them, get rid of all of them, and just start fresh next season. Clean, clean slate, new tactics. Get rid of Marty. If he keeps going, let's get rid of Marty. Just new tactics. Hopefully, this new director of whatever the hell he is, just fix, cover clean slate, because at the moment it's just full of poison. The poison is the player's attitude, the board's attitude. It's just full of poison. Just get rid of it.
Michael, evening to you. Saying if we're a carbon copy of last season, that means we're going to be relegated. Well, that brings me on to the points deduction stroke thing that's been going on forever. We know the hearing's ongoing at the moment. We don't know any outcome of it. They're saying the outcome will be announced in the next few weeks. There's all sorts of rumours floating around about what that's likely to be. The most plausible one that I've heard in the last week or so is coming out of places like Sky, etc., where they're suggesting that if we're found guilty of the 3 charges, it's most likely to be 3 points per infringement, which means a 9-point deduction if we're found guilty of all 3, which would, whilst right now, despite us obviously complaining as we sit here from memory, we're still only 3 points off the playoffs. And 6 points off second place, which is, whilst we're 15th, which looks awful on paper, the league is so congested this season that we're only a couple of wins off of automatic promotion.
You say that, but guess who our next 2 opponents are?
Well, we've got Sheffield United, on Saturday.
And then Derby.
And then Derby away, yeah.
If we lose them, we're in serious crap. We can't lose them. We cannot lose those 2 games, because that with the points deduction will put us in the relegation zone, surely.
After, with 9 points plus some defeats and other teams picking up points, we'll drift into relegation fight. Yeah, and that's the point I'm making. Is that whilst right now Cifuentes can turn this around with a couple of convincing victories and put us back into contention for promotion. The other way this could turn is we get a points deduction over the coming next couple of weeks leading into Christmas. We throw a few games in the bin with poor performances like we did in the week, and the next thing you know, rather than 3 points off the playoffs, we're 3 points off the bottom 3, and the whole thing just turns on its head.
You can't say Leicester City can be consistent or anything like that. All our wins this season have been probably from luck. When have we won a game this season that's not been from luck? Unfortunate. The fact that you're struggling to find a game is bad.
The Norwich win, the game before last, the Norwich away win, we managed to turn that around and get a win at the end, and there was a little bit of desire, a little bit of craft from Decordo. No, none of them have been convincing, Jono. Yeah. None of them. None.
I watched Coventry every game. I mean, I watched the highlights. They look convincing. The stats, they are convincing every single game, like what we did when we won the championship last time. Even though we might have drawn or won by last minute, we're convincing in every single stat. We're not convincing in any. We've not been convincing for 3 years.
No. Listen, I'm with you. We're not producing performances that that look emphatic. It's little spells, and then we let other teams have games. And the other part that's just come back into me, I wanted to bring up about the Stoke game at the weekend, was that as the game was going on through, obviously they got that goal fairly quickly after half time, and then the whole kind of dynamic of the game changes then, because they know they're only one goal from getting at least a point, and their tails are up and they're looking for it. At that juncture, at home, for me, our manager should be looking to turn the momentum and the dominance of the game back around in our favour. We're at home. We should be dictating the game. But what he actually did, and he left it far too late as well on Saturday for me, is he started making defensive negative subs to try and cling on to a one-goal lead by fetching on Samare, etc. Defensive Chowdhury came on, I think, from memory, etc., rather than thinking, actually, let's go and get a third goal. And if we go and get a third goal and it's 3-1, this lot will immediately think the game's gone. But we went the other way and started and played negatively and tried to cling on to a one-goal lead. Now, is that Jono, the manager accepting that he's not got enough goals in that side? So he's thinking, well, actually, we scored two, we probably won't score anymore, so I better try and cling on to a one-goal victory. Or is that just tactically negative?
Well, Middlesbrough. He did it against Middlesbrough as well, as well as Stoke. He's done it multiple times this season where we've been that one goal up and he's just gone, right, let's hold it. But we've not got the defensive players to do that. Ricardo can't pass the ball. Fass is too... The only decent defender who can do it is Vestergaard. He can't hold the line on his own. So if that is Marty's tactics and he's tactically inept, you can't be 2-1 up and go, right, they're poor at the moment, go for the jugular and kill the game off. No, let's go negative. All that's going to do is bring on the pressure. We did that against Wrexham. We did it against Middlesbrough. We did it against Stoke. All these games, we just throw away the bloody victory.
Apologies if I'm not saying this right, but I think that says Horan. It says Tom Cannon winner is written in the stars, by the way. So he's alluding to the fact that obviously Cannon's at Sheffield United. But the other thing is that Patrick Bamford's also now at Sheffield United, who they snapped up for nothing. Yep. I think he trained for a few weeks with Coventry. They decided they didn't want him, and off he goes to Sheffield United, and he scored in the week as well for them against Portsmouth. I think Sheffield United beat Portsmouth 3-0 in the week.
They did. Yes,
and that was on the back of beating Sheffield Wednesday 3-0 at the weekend. So they've had 2 3-goal victories without conceding a goal in the last 2 games when they come into playing us.
They've not conceded a goal in 3 games.
Yeah, because they got a 0-0 draw with QPR before that, from memory. Yep. So they've kept 3 clean sheets. They've scored 6 goals in 3 games. They've picked up 7 points from the last 3 games. It's clear that Chris Wilder obviously was kind of sacked and then brought back in very quickly when they realised they'd made a mistake. He's starting to pick up some momentum with them, and they'll be, because the league's so congested now this season, and there's so little points difference between so many teams. Sheffield United will now be believing that if they can go on a run, they're going to push themselves in contention for the playoffs, having been in the bottom 3 for the start of the season. So, for me, Tom Cannon, Patrick Bamford, all the rest of it aside, we're catching these at a bad time, Jono.
Yep, they're catching us at a good time. We're catching them at a bad time. And look, let's look at the table. Where's Derby at the moment?
Above us.
They're above us. They've won 4 of the last 5. We are in serious risk of getting relegated. We're only 9 points above Oxford, and that's including the relegation. That's including the points deduction we're going to get.
So what's the antidote? What can we do, Jono, to switch it up?
Change the board.
Okay.
There's
change the manager.
What?
Jono?
No. What have we seen in the last 4 managers is different? You name an actual tactical difference we've seen in the last 4 managers.
Well, it seems to be that these players, unless you're right, and it's the owner or that someone above them telling them how to play, which I doubt. I don't think he's close enough to our top to be doing that.
How can
these players, John, are dictating how we're playing? That's how I see it. I think they're ignoring the manager and they're playing how they think's best.
So we survived this season and just survived by the skin of our teeth and go next season, get rid of all these bloody players that are causing this shithousery, and I guarantee Winks is one of them. Get rid of Winks. The only players I want to keep go next season is Fataru, Mavididi, Monga, and Stolarczyk. That's it. All the rest can. Ricardo's too injury prone. He can't pass the ball. Vestergaard's obviously is too opinionated.
But listen, I'm not advocating we're getting rid of Marty. Let's get this clear. However, say Sean Dyche should become Leicester manager, right? Just hypothetically, do you think he would accept what some of these players are doing? Do you think he would sit there and go, "That's fine, you do what you want"?
No, they wouldn't be playing. They wouldn't play. They wouldn't play again.
So is the regime at our club just too soft? Is the whole thing like a holiday camp? Because there's been a few people tonight, as I've been reading the comments coming in, and thanks everybody for the comments, that are saying exactly that these players are earning a handsome living and getting away with living like it's a holiday camp.
I mean, the club acts like a big club, like the fancy graphics, the fancy social media, the fancy website, the fancy training ground, but we're performing like a League Two team in terms of business, in terms of the players, in terms of the style of football. You can't use propaganda anymore to put the wall of that. That's why half the stadium's empty now, because people are fed up with how the club's being run.
Yeah, it's Jason saying exactly what I was just mentioning. You know, the trouble is we have too many bang average players literally stealing the wage at the club, living the high life. That is the holiday camp at Seagrave. We have an owner who clearly doesn't care and is far too out of his depth. He's ruined everything his father built. I mean, strong words, Jason, but I have to say a lot of that sentiment I'm starting to agree with.
Do I believe Top is a bad person? No. I believe Top is a nice person. I believe his intentions are really good. But it doesn't mean you're a good person. It doesn't mean you can be bad at something. I think he's a really horrific businessman. I think he has zero clue on how to run a business. That's not just for Leicester City. That's in terms of King Power. King Power is on the brink of collapsing. We all had this in the summer. Leicester City is on the brink of collapsing. He doesn't know how to run a business, and it's we had the Premier League win and the FA Cup win, where people are finally starting to seeing the cracks that are forming, and they're not small cracks, they're gaping holes. If we fall in it, we're not going to get out of it, and that's where we're going. And I think Top has just got to just sell up. Like, I know he's making these changes in the board, but I think it's too little too late. I think we're about to go into League One. Well, we'll be the first Premier League winner ever to do that, by the way, if that happens.
It's not there yet. We're closer to the top six and the top two than we are the bottom three right now. I know the points deduction, if it comes, is going to change that. But as it stands, we are closer to getting ourselves in a promotion race than a relegation one. However, I agree with you that I don't think we've seen the bottom of this yet. And any cycle like this in a football club has got a bottom where you hit rock bottom. I don't think we've seen the bottom of this yet. I think we've got a way to fall yet before we hit the bottom and we start to turn things around. The question is, for me, how deep that's got to go before we hit the bottom and start turning this around. Is this just is this just players? Is it just some players, some bad eggs in the squad that need removing, that are talking behind the manager's back and are causing issues? Is this the manager? I don't think it is personally, but is it the whole damn thing? Is it from the board all the way through? And if it is the last one, the whole damn lot, then ladies and gents, we're in for a long run before we manage to turn that around. You're talking years.
Yeah, we're talking 5-10 years before we see it around. And Keith said, sorry, let's get Keith's message up. Relegation thoughts was exaggeration. Let me bring this exaggeration into reality. We are 9 points above above Oxford United, who are 22nd. We are expecting a 9 points deduction, that being equal to that points. Above that is Sheffield United, who have won 2 of the last 2 games and drawn a game. They've not conceded the goal in that time. We've conceded some of the most goals, and we've Yeah, relegation is not an imagination; it's a reality. If we keep going the way we're going, that's not. It's not exaggeration. It's the reality of where we are if we keep playing the way we are, which is sad.
And the key in this league, with it being so tight, is consistency. Sorry, if you can consistently pick up points, you will keep yourself in a promotion, or at least minimum a playoff battle, because this is so tight. And if you watch the results every week, there's people taking points off of teams that won last week and then they're losing the week after, and there doesn't seem to be any synergy to it, apart from Coventry, who have pretty consistently delivered results all season. And even them, when we played them at home, I didn't go home from that game thinking, Christ, they're the best team I've seen. They were nothing special against us. I haven't seen anything this season, Middlesbrough, Stoke, or any of the others that are in that promotion battle, where I've gone home thinking, yeah, they're miles better than us. None of them. The problem is that we only check into games for 20 minutes and then we check out. You know, like Saturday when we checked out for the second half and we're putting negative subs on and trying to cling on to a 1-goal lead. You know, the whole thing is, you know, we've got the players, we're not delivering the performances, but why? And this is the enigma for me.
Well, going into Saturday, we've got Sheffield United. What do you think the score's going to be, and what do you think he needs to do to turn this around?
I think it's a difficult game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be difficult for the manager to delete the disaster of the week in the space of a few days. There's some players in there for me that wouldn't be playing, that played on in the week, that wouldn't be playing on Saturday. Absolutely not. You know, I would change the system personally. I wouldn't perpetuate that system. I think it, with the likes of James, etc., it's square pegs in round holes, and it just doesn't suit. And you want to get, for me, you want to look at your best players and give them the best opportunity to perform. And I don't feel like we're doing that currently with the team that we're selecting and the formation we're playing. So that needs switching up for me. I don't think any teams, if anyone's going to win this, I don't think anyone's going to win it by more than a goal. I don't think either team's going to win it by a mile. But given the run they're on, you've got to ignore what's gone so far and start thinking about, actually, in reality, Chris Wilder's got this team now organised and performing. They're not conceding. He's solidified the defence. It's going to be a tough game. So I think, for me, it's a draw. And I would suggest, given our defensive frailties, it's a score draw. It's a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw for me, Jono.
I think it's a 1-1. We'll score 1-0 and hold it off to the end of the game, and we'll concede. I'm just going to have to... I'll let Simon take off the show, but I really need a wee. So I'll let Simon finish the show off, and I'll see you guys in a minute.
Cheers, mate. Right, everybody. So get your predictions in. Let us know what you think about the game coming up against Sheffield United on Saturday lunchtime, 12:30. Gary's saying we'll lose 3-0. I hope you're wrong, Gary, but yeah, I think it's difficult to see anything other than a battle at the weekend. They're certainly starting to pick up some momentum. There's a 2-1 there. I assume that means 2-1 to Sheffield United. We have got a 3-1 there from Gordon. Evening to you, mate. Thanks ever so much for that. So there's a few coming in, most of which, unfortunately, are fairly negative. 2-1 there's a win there. There we go. Someone's actually thinking we're going to win. And then there's another one there from Michael saying that Sheffield United will win 3-1. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up tonight, and it's a little bit of a side story, but given where you live, you might have something to say about this, Jono. I picked up that Ayonze Perez, who obviously used to play for us back under Brendan Rodgers, gave an interview to Spanish media. I don't know if you saw this or not, so apologies if I'm catching you with something you haven't read, but don't worry, I'm not going to catch you out. He was asked about when he left Newcastle and came to Leicester, and it was disappointing to read. It was quite negative in its nature, in terms of he'd signed for Newcastle for a small fee. I think it was a couple of £1 million or whatever. Had some success there, and then it written into his contract was this 30 million release clause. And his agent was, at the time that Leicester signed him, was negotiating a deal with Valencia. in Spain, and he told his agent he wanted to go back to Spain. He'd had enough of England, too cold, too wet. I want to go back to Spain. And in the middle of all of that negotiation, Leicester came in and triggered his release clause of £30 million. And then as a result of that, Newcastle then had to allow his agent to talk to Leicester, and the whole Valencia thing just went into the background, and he wound up signing for Leicester. And he talks about it in quite sad terms. In terms of it was not what he wanted and not what he wanted to do with his career. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on it and what you made of the fact that he kind of talked in quite disappointed ways, is probably the right way to put it, about spending some time at our club.
Look, I mean, I didn't hear about this interview. I've never heard of it until now. But look, every player, I mean, plays for money and plays for they support, that sort of stuff. But if your heart is not in playing for a football club, do not go there. Like it, and he could have easily gone to his agent to do not speak to Leicester. I do not want to go to Leicester. It's not contract binding. If we trigger his release clause with Newcastle, it's not contract binding. He has to go to us, is it? It's not a contract saying if any club triggers that release clause, he's going to that club. Is that a thing?
I would imagine it's a handsome profit for Newcastle United at that point. They weren't under the regime of the Saudis at that point, even from memory. So they probably wanted the 30 million quid. It's a big profit, right?
The only thing he's done for us is handball it to fucking who assisted Drew Tiddemans? I forgot his. Is it Luke Thomas? I forgot who assisted.
Sorry, mate, I've zoned out on what you're. I don't. Well, you talking about the FA Cup goal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jose Perez handballed it, then he passed it to someone, which lobbed it to Yuri Tielemans, who scored the goal.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, ultimately, for the only trophy he's ever won in his career is that FA Cup at Leicester. Yeah. So whilst he's talking in kind of, I wish that hadn't happened type of terms, he actually did get a trophy out of it, which is something that he hasn't had anywhere else he's ever played. Scott's just saying here quickly before we check out. Danny Ward come out and said he tried to leave Leicester, but was told he couldn't. What do they do, Scott? Lock him in the training ground toilets. I mean, no disrespect, but if Danny Ward's asking to leave, if I was the owner, I'd be like, right, where do you need to go, mate? Because I'll give you a lift.
He is the only player who can't talk smack. You sat there for 6 or 5 seasons, got your wages and did F4. Were one of the 4 factors that got us relegated from the Premier League the first time, because you're a horrific goalkeeper, and you got caught with your arm in a sling at McDonald's when you were at Wrexham for the first week. So
at least he was using the computer, mate. He wasn't. Yeah. He wasn't at the counter. Yeah, I see him. I bet he's got an account as well. He got a bit of discount.
But honestly, he was awful. He was. Of the top worst Leicester players in history, he's got to be in that conversation. But anyway, that's another conversation.
It is, but I just thought I'd bring it in because I read it and I thought, oh, really? I mean, I didn't. Whilst Perez wasn't a disaster, he also wasn't a highlight for me. I don't look back at him and think, yeah, what a player, and remember him either with fondness or negativity. He just kind of drifts in the middle somewhere there where he just contributed a bit here and there, but didn't really do anything significant. I always felt that Rodgers played him out of position. I thought he kind of came in as a more centrally attacking or striker stroke attacking number 10 and wound up playing on the wing most of the time. And I always kind of felt he didn't get a chance to really shine in his proper position. But
I was just about to say this. So it was Vardy hat-trick, Iosi hat-trick.
9-0, the 9-0. He scored a hat-trick in it, didn't he?
Did you see the Southampton's admin did a thing where it was Jordan James had a bit of paper and it said that went well? Oh, for God's sake! And all the comments were Leicester fans posting the 9-0 comments. Anyway,
I mean, it was trolling, but even looking back on it, even I had to chuckle when I saw it because I thought, well, fair enough.
It was.
That clearly wasn't a love letter to Jordan James from the manager.
No. Thing is, you can love and hate the banter. It's banter. It's not like personal. It's all banter. all we can say Southampton is we won the Premier League and you didn't. But we'll end the show there because we can just keep on talking nonsense for hours and hours. But So I think we'll beat. I think we'll either be draw or beat Sheffield United either by not deservedly. I think we'll score 2 goals and just pop the bus, or we'll get a lucky goal to beat the run of play or draw. But
yeah,
that's our
I
final.
think you look at the past games statistically, and it's got draw written all over it. They're solid at the back now. We're gonna struggle to get any more than one against them, I think.
You will say we have the home advantage, but where are our supporters? They're all at home watching something else because we're watching this rubbish. Anyway, well, thank you so much all for watching. Don't forget to follow us on our socials down below. Don't forget to leave a like. We appreciate all of your comments. We've got Jamie's show on Sunday, the Aftermath show. After the when we're playing this weekend, is it Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday at 12:30.
I forgot again, for God's sake. We've had 3 PM kickoff all season.
Yeah, that was the one that's gone. We've had a lot of earlies, like early kickoffs for telly. We're another one this week. I mean, the one thing I'm really pleased about, Jono, is that we got through this show without using the offside excuse from the week, because I've seen that in all sorts of places over the last few days. And the goal was offside. Yeah, it was. The one of their goals was offside. At least another one maybe 50-50, but I'm sorry, I'm not having that. I'm not having officiating for the reasons why we lose games of football. We were awful in the week.
We were awful, but we've got Phil's show on Monday, and then we'll be back on next Thursday discussing how bad we were against Sheffield United. Cheers! Thank you so much all for watching, and we should see you the next time.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow us on all socials.